you get so tired. Like, I got very drained at one point where, like, if something's not performing well, you're like, damn, like,
Yeah.
is it me? But it's not really you. It could be you, but it's not really you. Because it's also the algorithm, and then they're just shadow banning you because you can't control that. And that's annoying. And then if you break the consistency, because I also have school. So I broke the consistency a little bit. And then, like, I also didn't want to continue doing, like, gaming stuff because that's not really me. Didn't feel like me. I did it. I enjoyed it while it lasted because I also enjoyed doing it. But then I was like, okay, this is not my thing. I think the key to consistency is definitely liking what you're doing and having an idea of what you want to do. Because, like, once, like, you get in the rhythm as well, like, for example, I would post, like, 3 times a day. I still do that sometimes. But it's also, like, if you're not liking it anymore, it's normal. You can also take a break. But if you really, really want to pursue it, you will be consistent. That's in my opinion as well. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like,
Facts.
you go to the gym for a month and then you're done. I don't like superficial friendships. So if, like, you're not, like, reciprocating, like, a question or answering, or if you're not making eye contact, I take that as, like, okay, you're not really into the conversation or something, I guess. Or, like, or you have nothing to say either. Like, I'm like, I don't want to milk something out of somebody. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I think I usually just have, like, enough of, like, the willpower to be able to, like, carry on conversations with people always. So yeah, I don't think I have much of a shy bone in my body, really.
That's good.
Yeah. I think you need to have, like, at least some self-understanding of what you look with a friendship or any type of relationship, kind of. Like, if you're looking for, like, you can't, like, fill a void of whatever it is, because, like, that's, like, for you to fix. You can't expect, like, other people to fix your problems, obviously. Like, for me, like, family's always first as well, but for friends, it's, like, the family you choose, as everybody says. And it's very true for me. Like, I always obviously have friendships with people where, like, we're just friends. Maybe it's, like, just for, like, going out, but I always try to at least build something where, like, we have something that's kind of strong and maybe we can be friends for a long time. Part of maybe my extrovertedness is, like, maybe trusting people too much and I just tell them stuff. And, like, they shouldn't be knowing this. That's, like, my lesson. I was like, you can't really trust people. They have, like, different, what's the word, like, motives for certain stuff. And you're like...
Motives,
morals, especially. I mean, I found out, like, a bunch of, like, morals of this person. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it just doesn't align.
You don't fuck with that, you know?
Yeah, but... I'm pretty good at that as well. I was like, okay, like, if it's enough, like, if it's not for me, it's also culture as well, for me, especially. I also learned, like, for people that I meet, especially at university, if they're, like, there's German people as well, let's say. I don't really get along with them that well, even though I'm half German. It's just because we just don't come to, like, a certain type of agreement, or humor even, like, as well is a thing for me as well. Like, I even talked about earlier, like, how people are too sensitive, but there's also certain topics where, like, for me, I'm like, that's pretty, like, a big topic. And, like, I feel like some European people kind of, like, look over and humorize, like, people from Latin America or people that are African American. And I don't really like that. And that's, like, kind of valid, in my opinion. But I've also met pretty cool people. And I just noticed that, like, if you're international and you're open as well, like, you can even be from one place, but if you're, like, open to travel or open to learn a language, it's like people that I've met in Germany, like, the only fully German people that I truly have friends with are those that, like, committed to learn English themselves, and they're like, I'm watching shows because I want to know how to speak English. And then that's, like, when I notice, I'm like, okay, you're open-minded. I learned that a lot recently. Like, there's a lot of, like, mixed emotions. Most of them are negative towards French people. But I have met some really cool French people. And, like, coincidentally enough, I think it's because they also are, like, half American or something. But there's, like, the biggest French amount of students in my university. And I'm just like, okay, some of them are not a vibe. They're just very much, it's kind of like German people. They stay with their group. And I grew up in an international environment all the time. Like, I'll have friends from Thailand. I'll have friends from Spain. I'll have friends from everywhere. Because I think you can learn something from everyone. I don't like being in a group with, like, everyone is from the same place, the same city, like you want to do the same thing, and I'm like, no, I want to know what you're doing like somewhere else. Like that's just way cooler. It feels way much more creativity. Like my closest circle is like definitely like very few people, but they're all from somewhere else, and that's how I kind of prefer it to be, because I don't like, at the end of the day, like we find something in common with each other. Like there's so much you can have in common with someone from somewhere else, and I feel like it's the best thing to know, learn something from them. Because at the end of the day, you can't go into a room and expect to be the smartest person in the room. Like you can learn something from every single person. Nobody's like smarter than, like, define smart, you know? So I feel like everyone is good at something, and like you can learn something from everyone. And I think that's like the most important part. The people you surround with are like 70% of your actions. So it definitely says a lot. But if I'm comparing like girlfriends to guy friends, like I approach it the same way, and I've had obviously like with experiences like, with guys where they like take the wrong understanding and they're like trying to hit on you or something, but it's not as frequent. Like I feel like I kind of give off like a vibe for them like pretty clearly that we're just friends, so I don't have that like clash that often. Thank God. I feel like anybody can misread a signal, but from like analyzing other friends of mine and like having these situations, I think it's like, from my personal experience, when I experience something like that, I set the record straight and I'm like, yo, we're just friends, like we're really platonic, because I just don't like to like play with people's feelings or something. Like if I immediately turn it down once I see something flirty, but not everyone does that, obviously, because people have their own personalities of like not wanting to hurt somebody, because you never know, context is always different. But I think like if you really are like being oblivious and like ignoring the signs, that's something you shouldn't be doing. Like you should really kind of be seeing like what are their actions, because I've analyzed people, friends of mine, that I'm like, okay, like he clearly doesn't like you that way, and he says it like discreetly, indirectly, and like at the end of the day, we know how to read indirect messages. So I think it's a mutual thing. I don't think it's like anyone's fault or anything. I think it's just communication at the end of the day. Body language even as well is very important. That's how some people communicate as well. If someone's rolling their eyes even, maybe clearly it's not the vibe. Naturally in the dating world, like you have guys that are supposed to do the compliments mostly, of course, but every now and then, like, I think it's great to compliment guys as well. Like, even, like, my guy friends, I'll be like, that's a great outfit, like, you know?
Yeah.
Then you'll know what the intentions are, you know? But I think, like, the reason that maybe they overestimate the kindness or the compliment, it probably has to do, like, something personally, you know, as well. Because, like, even I can experience that as well. And you're like, okay, like, if you're not feeling your bestest, and then someone says something nice to you, obviously you're gonna be like, damn, like that's so nice. Like I'm not saying that to myself. So I feel like whatever, like you have to have self-love at the end of the day, you know? Like not everyone's completely perfect. Their self-love is not at 100% every day, but like at the end of the day, like you're with yourself, you're an individual. You're not supposed to be giving, like expecting things from people all the time, you know? Like you're supposed to give as well. And I think that's like kind of the important part, and that's kind of like maybe where people kind of get things confused. Yeah. I think it's that mostly. I know from like personal experience that some people really can misinterpret that as something else, that if I hug you too much, they're like, oh my gosh, like why are you hitting on me? And I'm like, I'm not hitting on you, like I just really like, I like to like hug my friends and do this and this and this. So I think that's like also something that people can oversee very easily.